Hi, guys. Let's talk about what we're going to work on today. We're continuing to talk about plate tectonics, but we're going to get into an area of the world where there's a lot of plate tectonic activity. You're going to do a little graphing, mapping activity, and it's a little tricky, but I want you to just try your best. I'm going to show you some tricks about how to do it, okay? So you should be in the segment of the homework where it says Ring of Fire, and let's just take a look at what you're going to do. So watch the rest of this video. Here we go. Introduction. Earth's surface is made of tectonic plates that are constantly in motion, driven by convection currents in the mantle. As plates move, they may pull apart, collide, or slide past each other. When this occurs, it can lead to volcanoes and earthquakes. In fact, there's a very specific pattern that is formed by spots where earthquakes and volcanoes tend to occur. We call this the Ring of Fire. Roughly 90% of all earthquakes, that's a lot of earthquakes, and 75% of all active volcanoes occur in this Ring of Fire. So let's go to the directions and see what we're going to do today. So here's the directions and a sample picture, okay? So it says instructions. The next page has a list of Earth's major earthquake and volcano locations. So if I go to the next slide, I will see, whoa, here's a whole bunch of earthquakes that are very famous in terms of where they've occurred, and volcanoes, okay? It says number 2, using latitude and longitude, see the example, mark where each earthquake and volcano occurs. Drag the symbol over to the approximate location on the map, which is on slide 3. And then you're going to answer the questions. So let's take a look at this. Let's look at the map. So if you notice in this map, we've got Asia here, Australia, the US and North America, South America, and then we clearly are in the Pacific Ocean. So that's where the Ring of Fire is, okay? It's in the Pacific Ocean. And what we have to do, if you look at over here, is you have these little symbols, which means earthquakes, and these triangles, which means volcanoes, and we're going to have to plot them where they are on this map. And we've got to use latitude and longitude. And latitude and longitude are basically the lines that go up and down on this chart. So it's kind of going to be like playing Battleship a little bit. You know, when Battleship might say, like, what's at E3? You have to match up the E and the 3 and move it over to the spot where it matches, okay? So we're going to do a couple of examples. So let's go to slide 3. So if you look at this, let me circle this part here. If you look at this, this is one set of what we call coordinates, the latitude and longitude of where an earthquake occurred. It happened at 120, this is a degree sign, degree west, 40 degrees north. So what I have to do is at this spot right here, so each one of these, right? Let me circle some more here. Each one of these, right? Oh, that was a bad circle, but that's okay. Each one of these is a separate earthquake, okay? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 earthquakes to plot. And if you look over at your chart, that's how many, if you go all the way over, that's how many earthquake symbols there are. And then they'll be the same for volcanoes, okay? So let's practice 120 degrees west. And the key to doing this is using the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my map, 120 degrees west, and I'm going to pull one of these earthquakes out. And I'm going to find, and I always have to look at the bottom first, we're 120 degrees west. Well, here's 120 degrees east, so I'm going to keep going. And clearly, right here, I see 120 degrees west. So this whole line is 120 degrees west, this whole area right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my earthquake symbol on that. Okay, now I've got to go back and find out where on the line it is, where north or south or up and down it is. So now I'm going to go back and I see it's at 40 degrees north. So now I'm going to take this, keep it on the same line, and I'm going to go to where 40 degrees north is. This middle line is what we call the equator. Hopefully you've heard of that. That's at 0 degrees. And if I notice on the right now, and also on the left, it says 20 degrees north, 40 degrees north. So I'm going to bring it up to 40 degrees north, and we're 120 degrees west, and it's about right there. And there's my first earthquake plot right there. So I would recommend maybe just clicking on this again where the line is and crossing it out when you're done. Let's try one more example, okay? And this time we can try a volcano. So it says 150 degrees west, 60 degrees north. So I'm going to start by getting a volcano symbol, and so I'm going to grab it. Whoops. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab a volcano symbol and just put it randomly in the map. Okay, so first I have to look for 150 degrees west. Okay, so let's go over to where 150 degrees west. Remember, we've got to start at the bottom. So 150 degrees west. Here's my west over here. And I notice that it goes 120, 140, 160. So 150 has to be in between 140 and 160. So I'm going to go right in the middle there. Okay? So that's my first plot. So I just did that one. Okay, now I have to do 60 degrees north. So now I'm going to bring up my little volcano to where 60 degrees north is. Well, north is up. So 20, 40, 60. So I'm going to move it all the way up to the 60 line and whoop, it's right there. Okay, so far I've plotted two. And again, I'd recommend going through and crossing them out. Okay, let's try maybe one more earthquake, okay? So let's do this one down here. 110 degrees east, 5 degrees south. I'm going to start with 110 degrees east. And it's okay to go this slow and to remind yourself of what you're doing. So 110 degrees east. So let's go to the map. We're doing earthquakes. So I'm going to bring 110 degrees east. So here's east down here. And I have to look at the number line. Here's 100. Here's 120. So 110's got to be like in between, right? So I'm going to drag this over to 110. Now I have to do the 5 degrees south. So this time I've got to go south, okay? So now I'm going to look at the equator again. Remember, north or N was above. South is below. So from 0 to 20, 5 would be probably about here. So I'd bring it up to the 5 about there, and booyah, there's my second earthquake. Okay. And again, what I would do is I'd get a line here. So go to line and cross it off when you're done. Here's what I recommend you trying to do. Trying to do 10 of these. Maybe doing all the earthquakes first might be the best idea because then you only use the earthquake symbols, right? So I would recommend just doing 10 today because tomorrow or the next day, whenever I see you next, we're going to have the whole period to work on this, okay? So you do not need to finish it. Just do about 10. Okay, do about 10 examples. All right. And then also later tomorrow or the next day, you're going to answer some questions related to this map, but it's going to look really cool. So it's going to be all labeled. Okay. So that's your job today. Try to match up 10 symbols. Okay. And remember, I'm on Zoom if you need any help. Good luck, guys.